I sat in my car and stared at my house, my beautiful two-story gray house with the red door that I hand painted. Ugh, I loved that house. But I knew the moment that I stepped in that front door that I would feel trapped. There was a heavy, tense atmosphere at home and a constant feeling of walking on eggshells. Every time I approached that door, my heart started to pound and my hands felt ice cold. And the silence inside wasn't peaceful. It was thick, like a storm about to break. And I knew deep down it wasn't healthy for me or him or the kids, but I wasn't ready to admit it yet. We had been together for 17 years, and most of it was great. But somewhere along the line, I lost sight of who I was. Everything became about him, his health, his preferences, his choice, his desires. I even crafted my career choices around making sure that we were safe when he quit yet another job. I literally couldn't remember who I was. I found myself one Saturday morning in the kitchen making eggs and toast and bacon like I did most weekends. But I froze. I literally couldn't remember how I liked my eggs. I'd always made them the way that we liked them. Soft basted for him and me, and scrambled for the kids. It sounds like a small thing, but something inside me broke with that realization. It wasn't about the eggs. It was about reclaiming my voice, my right to make my choices, no matter how small, for myself. Now, we tried therapy, or at least I did. We were in therapy for a good 7 months. Gave it the good old college try. I pushed for it, hoping that maybe we could talk to somebody and figure things out. I thought that if we worked on our issues, we could find our way back to one another. But after a few sessions, made it clear that it wasn't going to work. Yes, there was some great times. We ended up connecting as a family again and a couple, but it melted away. One day, he actually decided not to show up and texted me, "I'm not coming today. I think you should go on and have your conversation with our therapist yourself, and I'll meet up with her later." That's when I realized that it wasn't about the communication or the compatibility anymore. It wasn't just about seeing eye to eye. The tension, the avoidance had grown into something darker. And I wasn't the only one who was feeling it. Surprisingly, so was my therapist. He saw something that I didn't. It wasn't just about emotional, it was about physical safety. When I told her that he wasn't showing up, she said she did something that I was shocked. She breathed a sigh. "I'm actually glad. I need to talk to you about something," she said. "Your safety is at risk. The way things are going, it's going to escalate, and I'm really worried it's going to turn physical." My safety? My safety? What are you talking about? And in that moment, everything closed. I stared at a black dot in the painting right across from me for what felt like an eternity. My safety. Millions of thoughts were racing through my head. Millions of memories were coming in, flooding back. My safety. And then one moment I was able to capture on to one thought, not about my safety, my kid's safety. And in that moment, I knew I had to listen. So I started creating a safety plan with the help of my therapist. I went to the bank, I opened new bank accounts, I went to a lawyer, I got things figured out. I was paralyzed by fear. I knew that I had to have a conversation with them, but the words were stuck in my throat. I hadn't felt so small, so trapped in my own fear, but I couldn't do it. What was going to happen to me? Would I be okay on my own? And I'll be honest, I wasn't brave enough to say it out loud. Ironically, it wasn't me that had to do it. He actually served me the papers at work. When those papers hit my desk, I'm sure he expected panic or devastation to happen, but instead something else happened inside me. The biggest exhale of my life. I could finally breathe again. The wave of relief that washed over me was palpable. For the first time, I wasn't bracing for the next blow. I realized I wasn't trapped anymore. And in that moment, I knew I was free to build my own life, to decide my own rules by my own options. I began the process of reclaiming my identity, my choice, my life. I started with one small thing, making my eggs. And I tried 20 different types of making my eggs. Oddly enough, I actually really do like basted eggs. But in those small decisions, they started to grow over time and I rebuild myself piece by piece. That sense of freedom was so profound. For me, it wasn't just about escaping an unhealthy relationship, it was about rediscovering who I am. So, what would I tell someone who is sitting in that car too afraid to go inside? I would tell them you don't have to wait until you are completely broken. It isn't something that isn't working. If it's not, you don't have to try to keep fixing it to hold on. It is okay to let go. If you're in a place that you're feeling trapped, there is a way out. You can do it, reach out, find help, get support. We've all been there, whether it's a relationship, a job, a situation where we feel lost. We've given so much, we forget who we really are. But there is a moment that we can reclaim and find and discover ourselves again. And in that moment, when we find our voice, we know that we are worth fighting for. I made that choice, and I know you can too. Back to you, Toastmaster.